already February, huh?
Wow,
Yes, that's an achievement. And this one is not going to be difficult because only 28 days.
Yesterday, 2 days ago, I photographed crocus here in town.
Crocus?
Really?
Ah.
Blooming crocus.
Yeah. Some of them, sometimes they bloom. In the, even in the snow, sometimes they bloom.
Some of the bushes are budding out. The plants are coming alive, even if we don't know it's starting to be spring.
They know.
They know.
Yeah, they somehow know. How they know, we don't know. Ah, that will help. And this also will help.
Oh, the things.
Huh?
I think it'll go to sleep.
Oh, it will go to sleep? We don't want anybody in Vedanta class to go to sleep.
His crow has a neck somehow.
Excellent. Thank you. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Everybody's got a text? Yeah?
Yes.
That big book you are using? You can use that.
Oh.
You can use that. If you want, I got myself a new plaything in the form of this one. I just like to, no, you can use that. I like to have two because this is full of mistakes. You know, off and on we'll be surprised by the mistakes. And so I like to have another text to cross-reference. "53", yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, namaste to everyone. I will start from 51 because it's connected. देहाधिपञ्चकोशस्था
देहाधिपञ्चकोशस्था
या सत्ता प्रतिभासते
या सत्ता प्रतिभासते
सा सत्तात्मानसन्देहः
सा सत्तात्मानसन्देहः इति वेदान्तदिन्दिमः
देहादिपञ्चकोशस्था
Dehadi panchakoshastha.
Ya spurtiranubhuyate.
Ya spurtiranubhuyate.
Ya spurtiranubhuyate.
Ya spurtiranubhuyate.
Sa spurtiratma naivanyat.
Sa spurtiratmanayamanyate.
Atma longa. Sa spurtiratma naivanyat.
Sa spurtiratmanayamanyate. Iti Vedanta Dindimaha.
Dehadi panchakoshastha.
Dehadi panchakoshastha.
Ya pritiranubhuyate.
Ya pritiranubhuyate.
Sa pritiratma kutastha.
Sa pritiratma kutastha. Iti Vedanta Dindimaha.
Visarga, yeah, which has been elided because it is followed by the vowel. So we have to not elide that when we break it up. Sa pritiratma kutastha.
Sa pritiratma kutastha. Iti Vedanta Dindimaha.
Yeah. So Dehadi, starting with the body. Starting with the body means what? A list at the top of which the body comes, and then we have all the other things that go along with the body. You cannot say, orange, apple, etc. You have to go, if there is a list, there it has to, like hat, coat, umbrella, shoes, things you leave outside. There's a kind of a thing. You cannot say, hat, coat, umbrella, and then, something else. Whatever, some other thing which does not match at all. You cannot say. So, therefore, that things that go along with the body, mind, senses, etc. Here, that is what it is there. And they are all what? The deha, etc. is succumbing to, or is the recipient of this panchakosha, correct? Is the center of these 5 as though places where we like to make mistakes, where the mistakes are centered. Koshatvat achhadakatvat, koshavat achhadakatvat kosha. Kosha means that which covers. Who can cover the Atma? No one. Not even ignorance, right? Just like the sun cannot be covered by the clouds, even in Eugene. Why? Because of the sun we are able to perceive the clouds as though covering the sun. So that knowledge which declares that there is ignorance, especially connected to the self, that is what we are talking about. That knowledge cannot be covered, because that knowledge helps you to see that I am ignorant, because that knowledge can never be negated. It is called spurti here, and that knowledge is the only existent thing. The only existent thing is that conscious knowledge which is centered on a conscious being, which is I, and that which never comes to an end. This is what we are talking about. So the body is a little bit of a curved ball. Yes, sometimes shaped like that also. And so the body is a little bit of a curved ball, because here is this delightful, literally, and unending consciousness, delightfully unending and the only source of existence, that is as though trapped within this entity full of aches and pains and age and jara, mrityu, everything that is subject to all these limitations. So the unlimited and the limited, as though limited, the limitless and the limited are nicely mixed up together. And this mix-up is the cause of samsara. So in delineating this mix-up, we have seen this last time, but just a revision because it was 1 month ago. So in delineating this mix-up, the Shruti, the teachings have a wonderful way of presenting the Atma, that which is never mixed up, through the 5 areas where this mix-up can possibly take place. And if you were to say, I get mixed up in more than 5 areas, the Shruti is not responsible for that, because it's going to deal with the 5 main areas. And the other areas, wherever you may be getting mixed up, they can be reduced to those 5 areas, because those are the main areas. Body is as good as I, that's the first trap, correct? So the first trap is called Annamaya Kosha. And how one falls into this trap of body as good as I, and how one gets down. If the body is down, I am down. If the body is non-existent, I am non-existent. If the body is complaining, who is complaining? I am complaining. And if the body is, sick, I am sick. If the, so this is one major, pitfall, is the body kosha. And we have seen this in detail, just to sum it up. Then another pitfall is the pranic pitfall. What is prana? All these subtle things that happen. Digestion, circulation, respiration, those are all subtle. And they are all involuntary mechanisms upheld by Ishvara entering this body, as it were, in the form of prana. You are not responsible for the breathing, even though, one is encouraged to breathe deeply at all times. One is scarcely aware that one is breathing. No, but I can hold my breath. You try how long you can hold, You can become green, you can become red, you can finally become purple. After that you have to exhale. Cannot hold your breath. You have to exhale. So therefore, so the prana is another place, because if you cannot, for some reason, if somebody is, for example, claustrophobia is a pranic ailment. So you go in a lift or some, a fear of, what is that called? Enclosed spaces. So this claustrophobia hits at the level of prana, because the person is made to believe or feels that there is not enough air to breathe, and feels out of breath, breaks into a sweat, gets high blood pressure. Again, all these are pranic disturbances. Or gets low blood pressure. Finally, the end point is what? Faints. Another pranic development, correct? Goes into a state of murcha. Murcha means faint. And murchito bhavati, becomes faints. And then what? Then the firefighters have to come, forcibly open the elevator, and then they look at this fainted person and they detect a faint pulse and say, okay, even though this is not for the faint of heart, all is well, and you have to resuscitate this person, and the prana is restored, because the prana is still there, But it feels like the prana has departed. And sometimes the prana departing is not just a feeling, it really goes. How do I know? Because then suddenly you wake up not in your own bed. Maybe you are hovering and seeing something lying on the bed. Some people who've had these, what is it called?
Out of body.
Out of body, no, the other, NDE, near death experience.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how true that is, because if it is near death, it's not really death, but maybe they had the feeling that they saw the body, lying in the bed, and they saw people doing things to the body to bring it back, and suddenly they were in the body, back in the body. So out of body experience, near death experience, you're not waking up in the same place. This is some kind of corroborated experiences. And then we have so many uncorroborated experiences of jivas traveling through so many lokas, and we assume that. Why? Because they are not present in the body. The prana has departed, along with that taken the jiva, and then, so this is what we say. And then at that level also there is mistakes, because if you cannot breathe, or if something is not digesting properly, then who feels affected? I feel affected, correct? Yeah. So this is that is the second level of mistake. The third level of mistake is, of course, this mad mind, this completely mad mind, manomaya kosha. Mad in the sense that it's a very funny thing. It does not stay for more than one moment on one thought. It cannot stay for more than one moment on one thought. It's a fleeting mind. That's why I'm calling it mad. This fleeting mind which can scarcely pay attention to 1 hour of Vedanta class, somehow comes to the conclusion that it is as good as the mind that is fleeting. It carves out a permanence out of the impermanence which defines itself. This is a miracle, really. Out of this impermanence, meaning it cannot stay beyond a moment for one thought, and it constantly forgets things. Where did I put the keys? Don't know, don't remember. What's my name? A few more years. Don't know, don't remember. Do I exist? Don't know, don't remember. That will never happen. But nonetheless, this is the level of the functioning of the mind. The mind is defined by the constant forgetting. And so stupid it is, it locates itself through its own permanence, whose nature is total impermanence. Sad thing, sick thing. Anyhow, that is Manomaya Kosha. It cannot decide, am I the emotions, am I the body? It keeps on wondering all the time. That is Manomaya. And then we have the one who is the mind, the mind has a couple of friends. Yeah, that help the ignorance stick deeper. Yeah, which are the nice glue for this ignorance to just attach to these koshas. What are the friends? One is called Karta. Yeah, and the other one Bhokta. So Karta means the mind somehow which thinks of itself as I, it is too fleeting to fix on something. So then it looks around and sees this world is imperfect. I am the one chosen by God to make it perfect. And I am going to start when? Yesterday. I am going to start right now. And how do I relate to this world and to myself as the doer? So I start doing things in the hope of warding off this ignorance which says you are the most insecure person in the whole world. So I identify myself as the doer. This is what the mind does. So the mind latches on to the doer. And the mind latches on because nobody does just for the sake of doing. Because first you want to do and then you want to enjoy. And so then it turns into a bhokta, which is not strictly speaking enjoyer. What is it? Experiencer. I am hopeful that my experience will always be enjoyable, so I have made it synonymous with experiencer and enjoyer. I have made them into synonyms, but they are not. Frequently speaking, the experiencer is a sad fellow. Yes. An experience junkie. Yeah, this is what it is. If not junkie, monkey. Splitting from one experience to another. That's all it is. Just this is a very sad state. But then, in delineating these koshas, we have to kind of, what's that? Remove, as it were, cognitively, the areas of error to see via this methodology, this pedagogical tool called Anvaya and Vyatireka. Anvaya, that which is constant, Vyatireka, that which is not, so that which differs. So this is kind of a nyaya, a law of invariable concomitance. So when this is there, when A is there, B is there. When A is not there, the existence of B is also gone. But when B is not there, what is there? A is still there. So the connection between A and B, both of which looked permanent, or rather both of which looked temporary, is shown to be one of that of A to be permanent, and for B to be actually secretly relying upon A for its own existence. So when A is not there, B cannot be there, but A is always there. Whether B is exposed to be impermanent, because B comes and B goes, A always is. So the I that is centered upon that which always is. Why? Because that's what I want to be. I want to be always. I don't want to be, I don't want to die. I don't want to age. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to come to an end. This is just vyavahara. This is our experience. And so therefore, that I is shown by the teachings to be naturally free of death, naturally free therefore of birth, old age, disease, and all emotional, physical, mental calamities, that which never comes to an end. But these koshas are the various traps. And what do they trap? They trap this I, which is limitless, as it were, into identifying with that particular area of error. So I think myself to be finite based on these 5 areas of doership, experiencership, body, mind, prana, etc. And so in delineating this, we see that this dehadi panchakosha sthaya spurtihi anubhuyate sa spurtihi atma syat. That consider that knowledge which even informs this ignorance, and that knowledge which informs both the ignorance of the I, which informs also the koshas. If you look at the koshas, what do you see? You see spurti everywhere. Spurti means knowledge. Spurti also means that movement. It could mean, movement. And so that movement based on knowledge, you look at the cellular level, there is so much knowledge. That's why you can grow an ear on the back of a mouse, or on the person's same hand you can grow the ear and then attach it. This is all stem cell knowledge. Where does it stem from? This is Ishvara, this is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. And these stem cells are fantastic because they are like the master cells. And this bone marrow transplant, that's why it is so successful, because it just gives the person a new chance. Somebody has cancer or something like that, this is what they do. And the stem cells, when you are able to, you are able to direct them. This is the thing. These master cells you are able to direct. And then, there are all these, even if they are kidney cells or brain cells, they don't mistake, they don't never commit the mistake, they are infallible. Kidney cells suddenly don't say, I should become a brain. Thank God, otherwise you will have brain drain, because the work of the kidneys is to eliminate constantly. The work of the brain is to retain. And if the other way around were there also, if the brain cells decide to become kidneys, finished, gone. You won't be able to drink a sip of anything, because everything is just holding. The toxins are not being eliminated. So therefore, this is what it is. And this is the whole thing. There is intelligence everywhere. At the body level, of course, there is intelligence, we have seen. At the pranic level, there is intelligence. That's why no matter what you eat gets digested. That's the intelligence within reason. And then at the level of the mind, of course, all you see is just intelligence. Every perception, that the perception is so fleeting, so that I am able to have this 360-degree cognition. I'm able to have this. I'm able to have multiple perceptions simultaneously. Why? Because of this fleeting mind. And at the level of, Vijnanamaya, at the level of the buddhi, at the level of kartritvam, there is intelligence. At the level of enjoyership, experiencership also, all you see is this intelligence. All you see is this self-existent intelligence. And then when you remove this intelligence, can the body sustain itself? No. When you remove the intelligence, can the mind sustain itself? No. Neither can the prana, nor can the doer. But the doer is not very intelligent to begin with. Yes, but this we are talking of the cosmic intelligence, jnanam, that knowledge which informs this dull intelligence of the doer who keeps doing. There is something there. And even the intelligence of the one who doesn't know anything, doesn't know anatma, doesn't know atma, like even a small baby, that is also intelligence. There is a certain intelligence there. The intelligence in the plants, the intelligence in this is all going back to that knowledge alone. And that which cannot be removed, why? Because it is sat, never negatable in the form of consciousness. And then finally it says that dehadi koshasthaya pritihi anubhuyate. Now this is why I stopped last time here, because it takes a little bit of a discussion. Priti means ananda, happiness. So panchakoshastha pritihi, the priti, the happiness that is centered on these 5 areas of error. The body is a cause of happiness, naturally, because you wake up, you're healthy, that's wonderful. You're able to walk, even better. You're able to talk, another kind of walk, that's even better. And then what? You're able to move, you're able to dance, you enjoy movement in the body, you're able to go for a walk. All these things are wonderful. This is the happiness centered on the body. Then there is happiness centered on the prana. One day accidentally you wake up, no aches, no pains, and everything wonderful. So this is very good. And then there is pranic happiness. Centered on the prana, there is happiness when things function well. Centered on the mind, there is aha happiness. What is this aha happiness? Aha, I know this. Ah, something is sparking, it's working. So, don't call the mind Sparky. Why not? Because old Sparky was the name for electric chair in the earlier times, yeah. So something is sparking, right, in this mind. And then, so you see all these cognitions, and you delight in the functioning of the mind. And you delight in the forgetting too on good days. Oh, look at me, how many things I'm forgetting. And then you delight in it, thank God. I was mad at this person. Why? I don't remember. Thank God. So that is also a source of delight. Then finally what? Vijnana, the doership. Oh, this is a job well done. That's a source of delight. Correct? And finally the experience of delight, it's itself a source of delight. Of course also a source of confusion about the very nature of delight. This is why we have to discuss this separately, because up till now the delight and the koshas, you can see them running parallelly. But finally when we come to the experiencer and the delight, and the experiencer of delight, there is still a conflation. And it's a very subtle conflation called the conflation between Ananda and Anandamaya. Maya means vikara, modification. Ananda, unmitigated, unmodified. The source of delight has to be only one. Oh, that's boring. Why? Because that's how it is presented in the Shruti. Knowing which, it will actually make your life simpler. Because if the sources of delight were many and parallel, and they had taratamyam. What is taratamyam? Comparative and superlative. Yeah. Tarap means comparative. And tamap means superlative. When you want to say tarap tamap, you say taratama, okay? And then you want to make it into an abstract noun by adding the suffix shanj to make some comparative superlativeness. Then you say taratamyam. That is how the word comes. Very nice. So taratamya means this comparative superlative, meaning greater and smaller ananda, correct? And this is what drives the jiva crazy. Search for the greatest superlative, ananda, and differentiating from the great ananda and then the greater ananda. This is what is called samsara, the search for the greatest ananda. And if there were many sources, then this would come back and bite us. Why? Because it would again create a situation of no moksha possible. Moksha means the cessation of the quest for delight. That is moksha. In seeing the source of oneself as the most delightful, thing, which is ever a source of experience, which is never a source of absence, that is what is called moksha. Moksha is the cessation of the quest for delight. So if the sources of delight were so many, you have all kinds of delight, including Turkish delight, you have everything. Then what? Then you would be constantly a seeker. Are you happy being a seeker? Say no quickly.
No.
Nobody is happy being a seeker. Because, the seeking is only fun when you have something there that should be ultimately within reach, and you should gain it. Then only there is a sense of conquest. Otherwise, it will be like playing with a cat. You keep shaking something in front of it. You go like this, and first it obliges. It looks, it follows with the eyes, then with the head, and then it will make some jumping motions. It will jump. But then if you are holding it out of reach all the time, what will it do? It will go away and sleep in your favorite chair. That's what it will do. It will just shake a leg at that and go. It will be disinterested. So same thing with the jiva, If the jiva is also just if all the delights are just dancing in front and one is not able to reach that which one seeks, one will not become a cat, of course, but one will become catatonic and just go, sit in one place, that's all. And so therefore, but when you look at the human experience, the human being does not stop striving. There is this constant striving, which means that there is something that I sense is within reach. So we cannot have many sources of delight. This is the reason. The source of all delight, everything that expresses as delight, must be one and only. And guess what? It is that same source which is existent, means constant existence, unmitigated by time or space, and which is in the form of that consciousness, intelligence, knowledge that we talked about, which does not split into knower known, which is also constant. And that consciousness which is existent happens to be delightful. Where is it? Where is it not? That is the question. And we can even give away the secret by saying, where is it means what? It is I. It is I. That delight is myself alone. But then why don't I know it? Yeah, that is my question too. Just like in the body, mind, sense complex, these 5 koshas or the loci of error, create this kind of a scatter effect, in the sense that one gets trapped at every level. There are so many traps, internal traps, the koshas. Outside also there are many traps, correct? Each thing I think of as a self-existent thing available for me to completely help me overcome my sorrow. And sometimes the things are people, mind you. Yeah. Thing means noun, person, object, place, yeah, anything. So the penchant or the drive is to constantly seek that one thing, which is the real thing, correct? And we know that the real thing is not Coca-Cola, even though that's how it is advertised. What is the real thing? You. You are that which you seek. So here we have to really consider a U-turn. I'm not asking you to make it yet, but at least consider a U-turn. Because you have been driving yourself insane from life after life after life, meeting with road signs that say dead end and detour. That is what you have been driving yourself insane. You are lost, you know. No GPS has helped because the GPS is the product of the same Jiva virus, and it's the product of the same virus, samsara virus. It's a chip of samsara, pun intended. The GPS which again it opens vistas into the relative, not into the infinite. You want a restaurant? Yes, it is there. It responds to the tongue, it responds to the ears, it responds to the wants of the eyes, and these sad wants that are truncated versions of the original and the only want, which is to be wantless. That is the only want. That is moksha, is to be so delighted in you that there is really no more wants anymore outside of yourself. In fact, whatever you want becomes what is good for the universe ultimately. Because your want and the cosmic want of the prayers of the people, decanted into by the prayers of the people, become one and the same. So a person with moksha becomes a source of blessing for all. Just by being who they are, just by eating, sleeping, breathing, they may not teach a word, doesn't matter. This is why in India, even today, a person of self-knowledge is respected highly because their presence is a source of blessing. Just their presence. And so this is something which is very, very, something highly, it's not something that is just out of reach except for the few, chosen few. There is no chosen. There is nothing, anybody can attain this. This is what is the only thing, your main job in life is to attain this knowledge which destroys the illusion that you are separate from that source of delight that you seek. You are that source of delight. Yeah, but I take Prozac every morning. Yeah, the Prozac is for who? Prozac is for who? What is the Prozac for? Look on the level of koshas. Which kosha? Huh? Yeah, the body-mind kosha. Right between the body-mind kosha, if there is a chemical imbalance and somebody says, I'm sad, I'm anxious, whatever it is. The Prozac, Xanax, all these Zaza, Prozac is for who? Prozac is for one kosha, correct? A malfunctioning, dysfunctioning kosha. Mal-rotated kosha, that is not spinning quite right, that is on its own spin, out of orbit it is spinning. So to bring it back into the orbit, to make this personal functional on a day-to-day, that is there. That is the Prozac. Prozac is for the mind or the body-mind in between, because we don't know what chemical functions are there, whether it belongs to body, prana, it's right in between the cusp of the two. Oh, but I am anxious, same answer. Oh, but I am sad. I am not depressed, but I am constantly sad. That is also known as depression. We have garden variety, very different kinds. No, I am just sad because I exist. Nobody is sad because they exist. Why are you sad? Well, because I feel like a failure. That's what is the thing. Nobody is sad because they exist. Because the existence is a source of delight. We have seen this. That knowledge which is the same as existent, that existent spurti, that knowledge is again that which is delightful. Delightful means unending. That's what it is. So then even if you ask somebody who's ready to fall off the bridge, there are many bridges, Hudson River Bridge is there and on this side, West Coast, Golden Gate, all these things. That's why they have so many bars to prevent all these sudden impulse. That's why it's important not to follow the mind all the time. Because the mind says, I don't want to exist. The mind suddenly says, I'm of no use. And so, even if you go to somebody who is about to jump off the bridge and you say, what is it? Oh, I'm really sick. I'm sad. Why are you sick? Why are you sad? Because I don't have money. Here, I'll give you money. You give them money. Don't just make a false promise. That's dangerous. But you actually assure them and you assure them, show them that show them the money and then say you can have it here, put it in their pocket. And lots of it, not just $5 is not going to mean if they have $50,000 debt and you put $5 in their pocket, it's not going to cut it. You put a check and say, come, I'll go with you to my bank and cash it in front of you, it is good. At least they'll go to the bank. At least till then they will be alive because that hope is there. That means what? Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to put an end to existence. That is the beauty of this existence because it happens to be the only source of delight. So then even with the most desperate of suicides, it is a conditional feeling that has driven them to end the body, mind, sense complex. Either pain or sorrow or fear or all of that. So really speaking, the source of delight is you alone. And it is hidden by the koshas. Hidden even more by the seeker, the karta, wanting to manufacture delight. Delight that is already there. Yes. It's like someone who, let's pretend that the person has a capacity to breathe underwater. Some being. Maybe they have some tubes or something coming. And then they decide on a new business. What is the business? They are going to manufacture salt and then put it, at the bottom of the sea and put it there. That's what is the business. It's failed right from the start, correct?
Of course.
Why? Because the sea is nothing but salt, and in that salt the person is searching salt and trying to manufacture salt. By trapping and scaling fish, maybe they'll yield some salt, we don't know. Or some seaweed, they are, drying out the seaweed and harvesting the salt, which is already fully surrounding them in abundance. This is the failed business of every jiva trying to manufacture this delight when surrounded by delight. And who is surrounded by delight? Delight is surrounded by delight. That which is the most delightful is surrounded by all the things that are delightful in themselves. And so, even when you look at, we should have a nicer thing. What is that? Chocolate, whatever it is. Yeah. Yes. Chocolate. Delightful. Correct? So the delight belonging to the chocolate and the delight belonging to the eye. There is no taratamya. I already told you the meaning of taratamya. What is that? Yeah. There is no comparison at all. Why? Because it is one and the same. You mean without this chocolate I should be as happy? Yes. Oh, up till now I was with you, but you have lost me now. Without this chocolate, how to be happy? Because that which makes the mind delighted on seeing this chocolate is a modification, is a small modification, it's a small drop of that delight, really. And that is called Priya. What is Priya? A drop of delight is called Priya. And how is that drop of delight achieved? Ishtavastu darshanena. By having darshan. Oh, of Guru. No. We're talking local chocolate darshan. Choco Guru. Yes. Choco darshan. What does Choco darshan yield? A drop of delight, a kind of a skewed part of that delight, a little piece of that delight, a portion of the delight, a drop of delight called Priya. And what is Priya? Priya is that which is gained by seeing a loved object or person. That is Priya. And then I say, here, you can have this. Ah, really? Me? All these people are there, you're giving it to me? Yes. Really? I don't have to share after class? No, you don't have to share. It's all for you, each and every one of them. There's at least 20 here. All for you alone. If Priya was characterized by 8 teeth being shown, 2 drops of delight called Moda is characterized by 16 what? Teeth being shown. 8 on top, 8 on bottom. A big grin. This is Moda. Are we there yet? No, because I have to open this, correct? Yeah. You're not there yet. Why? Because this is still away from what I consider me. It's away from me. Yes, it is mine and all of you can't have it. I already told you. It's all mine. And that's why I obliged by showing 16. Before there was only 8. Just the incisors. Now the premolars have also come out to play. And then what? Then, sometimes it's not frustration-free packing, but but then you need some yantra, like what are those called? Scissors, knife, and you open it, and then what? You inhale this Moda part 2. Yes. Continued Moda. 2 drops of delight. And then you pop one into the mouth. And all the flavors, the exotic nuts and the cocoa powder and this and then mocha and coca, everything, they just come together and they burst on the tip of the tongue. 3 drops of delight called Pramoda. Yes, Moda personified. And then what? Another one, 19, 20. When that face becomes like this. So first there was, 8, and then 16, and then Pramoda brings in 28. 28? I thought we had 32 teeth. No, don't count the wisdoms. Most of people have them taken out. And this is the extent of the manifestation of delight in all these time-bound things other than the eye. 3 drops of that delight. And the Brihadaranyaka says this very eloquently. Matrameva upajivanti. Means these people, these jivas who are in search of delight are able to get a small measure when they keep seeking it outside of themselves. A distorted measure, a small measure indeed. And this continues. This is, alas, not just in this worldly realm. It continues in the other worldly realm. The realm of celestials, the realm of devatas, the realm of these Gandharvas, celestial musicians, violinists, pianists, and apsaras, celestial dancers, celestial chaiwalas, who bring chai to the upper grade celestials. Again, the delight keeps on increasing because it's really a spin-off of the original delight that is centered on the I. All these delights keep increasing up to a certain point and they plateau, after beyond which there is nothing. You still remain the seeker. Beyond which there is nothing means not gaining which, you still remain the seeker. And it's a very miserable thing to remain the seeker. In fact, all garden variety sadness is about remaining a seeker and not gaining what you seek. And not understanding that, one keeps seeking the wrong things in the wrong places. What one needs to seek is the truth of oneself. Instead the spin-off, not knowing that. Not knowing I am the whole, I spin off into seeking something in the whole realm of the finite. And when I seek the finite, the happiness naturally born of the finite is finite. And last time I told you happiness is not a noun, even though we treat it like a noun. It's not a noun. Because if happiness is a noun, there should be something called happiness. Noun means defined noun. Go back to grammar class. First grade, what is a noun? Place, thing, name, none of it. Is happiness a place? No. Even though everybody says, I want to go to my happy place, that's a place of dissociation. Again, finite. Happiness is not a time. Why? Even though there is such a thing called happy hour, it doesn't make people happy. The most unhappy people go there to enjoy the so-called happy hour. Yes, everything is half off. Even the happiness is only half full. It's not full. Then happiness is not a thing or attached to a thing, because if it was a thing, if I gain that thing, I should be happy and stop seeking. No. In fact, the seeking grows and continues. No, but I like the same thing again and again. That's not true. It's not true that you like the same thing again and again. You listen to the things that you listened in teenage, music. Nobody listens to the same things. Likes and dislikes keep changing in the hope that this will fuel that seeking in the right direction, but it doesn't. It fuels itself, unfortunately. It becomes an internal loop of misery, called by Pujya Swamiji as sorry go round. Sorrow goes round. That's all it is. Because it re-loops into the raga dveshas, and then it just, goes round and round, manufacturing that same distress, which was the cause of seeking in the first place. That distress is not seeing that this pritihi ya anubhuyate, that priti, which whether it is centered on the body, mind, sense complex, or whether it is centered on the 5 elements or what is outside, it's still the source of me alone. It is what I really seek. So this is why we have to strongly consider a U-turn. I'm still not asking you to make it yet, but I'm asking you to consider it. Why? Because what you seek, you happen to already be. What you are is what you seek. What you seek is what you really are. And this is not a matter for experience, because you're experiencing that delight all the time. In waking, in dream, in sleep. In sleep, definitely, because it's unmitigated delight. It's a delight that is not mitigated by knower known. That's why nobody wants to wake up. Especially tomorrow for Bhashya class. And so, because there is sudden taratamya between Bhashya delight and sleep delight, which is more. This is what happens. Don't compare like that, because the Bhashya delight is not a thing for comparison, because Bhashya delight leads you to that delight which is the source of all delight. Yeah, that is why it is beyond compare. Now let us look. So Dehadi Panchakosha, Stha. Stha means centered on. And then Dehadi. on the body, mind, sense, etc. And these 5 areas of error that we have kept on describing for the last 2-3 months. Ya pritihi anubhuyate, that delight which is experienced. And here this is Nrisimha Bharati. Who is Nrisimha Bharati? You've never heard of him before? Who is that? Who is Nrisimha Bharati? Suddenly you are bringing him up like this. Not fair. Up till now I was understanding. What is Nrisimha Bharati? Person, place or thing? Huh? Anybody?
Think of person.
Okay, person. All right. We have honed in on person. So who is this Nrisimha Bharati? Huh?
Like a lion?
Lion? No, Nrisimha, yes, correct. That's what he's named after. He's named after Lord Narasimha, but who is he? Ah,
Adi Shankara.
not Adi Shankara. Adi Shankara's name is Shankara. You're close. Go delve into that a little deeper.
What's here is
Yeah,
the
delve into
line
that.
of the expounding
Uh-huh.
of the teaching.
Uh-uh.
That sense.
Nrisimha is his name. It's not. It was his given name. Who is Nrisimha Bharati? Without knowing this, we cannot proceed further. Yeah. Nrisimha Bharati Kaha Bho Who is that? Hmm? We have lots of time. Really, nobody knows? Who wrote Vedanta Dindima? That is who Nrisimha Bharati is. The author of Vedanta Dindima, a Shankaracharya, very knowledgeable, and this is something we have to remember, because if you are studying a text so intently and so earnestly and month after month, we should remember that. And it was told earlier a few times, so this is good to remember. So write that down, because it may come back again as a quiz. Yeah. And so Nrisimha Bharati here purposefully says Anubhuyate, means that which is experienced, because we always think, the jiva always thinks what? Oh, I'm not experiencing that Brahman, which is delight. I'm not experiencing it. No, in fact, every delight that you experience is that delight alone, because that delight is in the nature of experience. It's not outside the ken of your experience, because if it were, then that also would become finite. So it is that which is always experienced, but you attribute that experience to the thing or the place, but actually you have to go back and consider that U-turn and attribute it to you. But then why do certain things still make me happy? And why do I still hanker after certain things? Even though I know this, that we'll find out after the break. 15-20 minutes, go stretch and say Nrisimha Bharati a few times, and then we will come back, okay? Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
You can write your questions. I will answer